on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line is the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, Brandon Staley. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing well, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Sorry to make you sit through that promo material, but I got to keep the lights on. You know what I'm saying? So
I do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you understand the way the business works.
I respect that.
Thank you. So let's just jump into it. Something you would have signed for, I imagine, before the season is a chance to make the playoffs, or maybe having it wrapped up by now. What's your 2 cents on playing in this game come Sunday night, Coach?
Yeah. I mean, we certainly wanted to be in a position to compete for a championship, for a division championship, which we, were able to do in December, is give ourselves a chance, because that's where it starts, in pro football. And then, certainly when, we had that tough one against Kansas City and that wasn't going to go down for us, then, you pivot to the next thing, which is giving yourself a chance in the tournament. And that's the type of team that we want to be around here. And now we've put ourselves in a position to do that. And, we're excited for our opportunity this week.
And COVID-19, man, I mean, talk about the things coaches are control freaks and control what you can control. You cannot control that. How is your team right now with this virus where now COVID can absolutely end a season with games like this on the line?
Yeah, Rich, I think as we've seen throughout the league, I think it just hits teams at different points. It hit us, at Christmas, for the Houston game where we kind of got cleaned out. And, I think all of us are learning a lot as we go. And, I mean, I think since I took the job in January, so much has changed with protocols and, the way this virus is, shape-shifted and moved. And I know the NFL is trying to move with it. And I think that what we've tried to do is stay connected as an organization, and you have to stay flexible. And I think over the last couple of weeks, we've been virtual in the morning, make those adjustments to limit the exposure, and I think all of us now have that, that experience with Zoom in that world, and we're kind of comfortable in that space. So last week we were virtual, and our guys handled it beautifully, made some alterations to the schedule, and we had a really good week of practice yesterday, last week, and played well. So I think the big thing, Rich, is you have to be connected as an organization because things are going to move all the time, and you got to be able to move with it and communicate well. And I think all of us in the NFL are doing the best we can.
I'm not being glib when I ask this question in the manner in which I ask it. Trust me. But do you tell someone like Justin Herbert to say, go home, don't go anywhere, order in, don't glitter? I'm serious. Like, do you do that?
It's a point well taken. I think. We're trying to do the best we can with every single player, especially, the premium players like Justin that matter a lot to your success. It's very difficult to win without your starting quarterback out there. So, Justin has been taking all the necessary precautions. We haven't done anything extreme, but I know that, just following, the guidelines that, the CDC and, all the medical experts have put in place with mask, social distancing, washing your hands, limit exposure. Justin is, obviously following that to the fullest, and I think we're all doing the best we can, and I think that he's, done a good job, and I think our team has really handled it well, and I'm proud of, I think Rich, I'm proud of the way we've handled it this season because it hasn't been easy, but we're all in it together, and I think that's also an important point is that no matter what you're in, NFL, what type of walk of life, we're all in it. We all have kids that go to school and things like that, so we're doing the best we can.
Brandon Staley, LA Chargers head coach here on the Rich Eisen Show. So what has been Herbert's biggest football challenge this year? What defenses are trying to do to him, and what general sense he sees when he gets to the line of scrimmage and how he's been battling that throughout his second season, first with you?
Yeah, Rich, I think his biggest challenge, is just handling a new offense this year and taking full command of our offense. And I think the inventory of experiences, every time he plays against a different defense, he's able to bank that experience and grow from it. And I think what people, forget about guys like him is that he's still brand new. He's still seeing defenses for the first time. And I think that what he's been able to do throughout the season is improve his command of our offense, certainly. And I've just been so impressed with how he's taken command of our offense and run with it and how much he's improved from the beginning of the season to now. And then also banking on, these inventory of experiences with different defenses defenses and how people are playing us and how they assess our team and learning that game within the game. And he's just becoming a more complete player every single time he goes out, and certainly one of the big reasons why we're having the season we're having. And he's been fantastic all season for us.
Well, in terms of running with it, literally, I mean, the Steeler game, he was stupendous. He had to it sometimes, I guess. But are you trying to keep him in the pocket? Is that what you and Joe Lombardi telling him? Don't do that, because he's got that ability to be a game changer with his legs as well. What's your philosophy on that?
I mean, taking the job and trying to, fit this offense for him, we really wanted to be able to get him on the move, with our RPO game, our keeper game, which has been a very big strength of ours, getting him on the move, changing the launch point so defenses aren't teeing off. I think that's been a big strength of our offense. And then the one thing that he has that most special quarterbacks do is when that first play isn't there, can that second play become a big one? And he's shown that creativity and that playmaking ability outside the pocket, whether it's throwing to, moving to throw the football in the deep part of the field, or that's how you make first downs when it's crowded and there's traffic. Can you move? Can you create offense? And that's something that he does really well. And then in the Pittsburgh game, hey, if they're going to try and take away all your receiving threats, play a lot of split safety man to try to take away Keenan and Mike, Austin Eckler, and everyone's backs turn. Now he has real speed. I mean, this guy's a 4'6" guy. It's 6'6", 240. So I think that we've done a really good job of, keeping him out of harm's way, but at the same time utilizing those talents, like you mentioned, so that they have to defend all 11 players on the field, including him. And I think that's why we're having the quality year that we're having offensively.
Brandon Staley, LA Chargers head coach, here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'm going to ask you a general question, and I'm sure you've been asked it many times, but I think you know where I'm going with this. Even fourth down calls. What is your, sometimes you're taking some points this week, even, on fourth and inside the 5 against Kansas City. You went for it on every single one of those situations. I know it's all relative, opponent, score, positioning, but what is your process in the heat of the moment where game clock is ticking down, play clock's ticking down, and you make this decision?
Well, I think we go into the game with, initial models of how, assessing our opponent and who's going to be available for the game, weather, all that good stuff. You take all those into consideration with your initial models. Then at the game, then you have the feel of the game, the flow of the game, the instinctive part of the game. And that's what we try to do, is apply both processes and then treat each decision like they have a life of their own. And that's what I believe is the best way. And just because something goes well doesn't mean that you're, playing with house money the next time. And just because it doesn't go well doesn't mean that should turn you into someone that's reluctant to go for it. So we've tried to, stay in the moment. And, against Denver, it was a possession game. We were playing against 2 backup quarterbacks, and our defense was playing at a really high level. And so, we wanted to make that a possession game, turn that into a 2-score game, turn it into a 3-score game. And that's what we did. And we felt like that was the best strategy for that game. Other times it has been different. And, I think that when you have an offense like ours, you certainly want to give them as many opportunities as possible, specifically our quarterback. The more chances that you give Justin to score the ball, the better, your team is going to be. And I felt like he's done a fantastic job all year. And you can point to a lot of games where I feel like those decision makings helped us win. And I think we're getting better as we go. But I think the big thing, I think theme is we're just going to treat each one of them like they have a life of their own, and I think we're getting better as we go.
Well, how do you handle, like, say, the week after the Chiefs game, where all those did in fact mount up? How do you handle that personally?
Yeah, I think being transparent with the players and with you, the media, and our fans is, process over result. I mean, for instance, in the first Kansas City game, a lot of those decisions helped us win that game, and I felt like our process was good in the second game. On the first drive, we had done the same thing, 2 weeks before against Joe Burrow on the, that offense so prolific, 4th and 4 opening drive. We go for it on 4th and 4. Justin hits Keenan for a touchdown and really kind of sent us on our way in a big way in that game. And in Kansas City, he hits Donald in the back of the end zone. It's a beautiful throw and catch. And then we had that that tragic sort of ending to that play. But I mean, that was good process. That was good. That was a good design. It just didn't go down. The one, at the end of the half, my mindset at the end of the half against Kansas City was I felt like we had a chance to separate. 17-10 to me wasn't the type of separation that I was looking for. 21-10 was the type of separation I was looking for. They were getting the ball at the beginning of the second half, and I was aware that hey, there's no field position to be gained here, because this is the last play. But I had a lot of confidence on our offense versus their defense, and I know that that's one of the decisions that was questioned, and it should be. But that was my mindset, was to make that a 21-10 two-possession game, and it just didn't go down. So, I feel like, Rich, that you have to be able to live with your decisions and be proud of your process, and I think that's what we've done all season long. And I think it's given us an identity that our players can believe in, that our fans can believe in, and I'm excited to continue it moving forward.
Well, I've been at this with the NFL Network for 18 years, doing this show now. This is my 8th year, and I've never asked the coach the question I'm about to ask you, Brandon Staley, but here we go. There is a circumstance. I don't know if you are aware of it, and you might be because you're very perceptive, that if the Steelers win and the Colts lose, that both you and the Raiders make the playoffs if you tie on Sunday Night Football. And there are a lot of people talking about this right now. And would you actually willingly take a tie when you know that assures you of making it, and the other team, if you communicate with that other team, do something like that? Coach Brandon Staley.
Yeah, that's a pretty loaded scenario there, Rich.
Yeah.
That is a all-time coffee shop scenario.
Yep.
I feel like I'm with my buddies at the University of Dayton or something like that.
Yep. That's what people are talking about.
I think we all respect the game and the NFL shield and the integrity of this game far too much to be complicit in something like that. This game matters too much to too many people, and we want to play our best and be proud of the result one way or the other. And so I know we're going to do everything we can to go win this game and play the way we're capable of playing. And I hope that all the fans and everybody that loves the NFL will be proud of the game on Sunday.
I appreciate you giving me an answer to the stupidest question I've admittedly ever asked an NFL head coach. But this is truly, Brandon Staley, something that so many fans are talking about. And I even just said about 10 minutes ago, knowing that you're coming on the program, that, how would you do something like that? What do you get Telesco hooking up with Mayock and you and Bisaccia on a Zoom and then you kneel for 3.5 hours in front of the country? I mean, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Yeah. But I do have a coach who's playing this game, and I wanted to put that in front of you, and present that to you.
I mean, I think for the NFL, I think, as you know, you've been in the NFL now pretty much your whole life. I mean, what makes it so special is the competition and the level of integrity and respect that it stands for. And certainly that's what we're going to try and live up to this Sunday.
Coach Brandon Staley, thank you for the times you've called in during this regular season. And for you and the Charger faithful, I hope we have a playoff conversation and many more to come. So thank you for the time, and Happy New Year to you and yours.
Thank you, Rich. Happy New Year. Thanks for having us.
You got that's Brandon Staley, the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, who is hanging up the phone and saying, that was the dumbest question I've ever heard. But
so no tie.
That's not going to happen.
I mean, no.
But everyone's saying, why wouldn't the Chargers and Raiders do that?
Well, it makes too much sense.
Why does it make sense?
Because they both make the playoffs.
But it doesn't matter. That's not what it's about. It's about
making the playoffs. It's about winning a championship. Rich, you can't. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Can't win the championship if you don't make the playoffs.
Yes, but you can be assured of making it by winning yourself. You don't have to care about the other guy.
But if you play to win,
do you really mean what you're saying? Are you playing devil's advocate?
If you play to win, you might lose. But if you play to tie, you guarantee yourself the win.
But how do you do that, though?
By the way, though, If this game goes to overtime.
I'm just having fun.
Hold on a second. Let's just say this. If the game goes to overtime and tying does benefit you, right? Mm-hmm. And it does benefit you, and you start taking the air out of the ball to make it, and you're on the other side, do you just clearly let them do it? Like, what if one team in overtime, where overtime is reached because, you know, you're competing your asses off, and it's just an awesome game, and it goes to overtime. If Sunday Night Football goes to overtime, and it's just like, hey, if these teams end in a tie, they both make it, and you're trying to win, and you take 6-7 minutes off the clock and kick a field goal and miss, and the other team now has it.
Okay.
Do you just take a knee on it to just make sure that you tie? At this point, it benefits you to tie. Forget about the fact that it benefits the other team. What if you do that to take the air out of it and give 40 seconds left to the other team to win, and they use it to beat you? Yeah. As opposed to just taking the tie and saying, screw it. They use it to beat you. You're going to kick one from 55 yards out just to win. When the miss means you're in it anyway. But you're just spitting it your last breath like the Wrath of Khan at the other opponent.
I don't know, Rich.
What happens then? Like, that could be absolutely the moment that this coach we just chatted with is in. And you got to look your guys in the locker room and say, we're playing to win. That's all we're about.
This is too exhausting to think about.
You win the game. You win the game. It's a fascinating, good for this type of forum conversation. But when it comes down to actually executing it and talking to a man whose life is all about competition and winning and creating that environment for his team and his locker room and his franchise, what are you going to do? Just take a knee for 3.5 hours?
Yeah. Plus all this talk about
and
ties.
I appreciate him answering that question, but I kind of felt compelled to ask the question that everyone is talking about. Like, they should tie. They should absolutely tie. Why wouldn't they tie? It's an easy thing to tie. They both in. Shouldn't they get together and tie this whole thing? And then without the idea of what's the nuts and bolts of making that happen.
I know you.
And of course, his answer should have been like, you're an idiot. I'm hanging up the phone now. Forget about me giving you that parking spot. Out.
I'm never calling again.
I'm never calling again.
Bye.
But
it would be cool if they just played for a tie, though.
Well, if they go at it on Sunday night
and they just happen to tie,
stop, and it happens to go into overtime, that will be a fascinating conversation between Al and Chris for the whole country to see, because whoever wins the toss is going to try and win the game. But what if they try and win the game and they take a ton of time off and the other team gets the ball back with just 2.5 minutes to go? Yeah. Do they run the risk of losing? No. In a regular time, forget about the fact that the tie would put the other team that you're trying to beat in also. You would play for the tie at that point in time because the tie gets you in.
Gets you in.
Correct.
And it just happens to
get the other team in. So you're playing for that tie. My question is, what if you play for that tie and then you have to punt? And the other team's got like 60 seconds left. Does that guy return the punt for a touchdown and just say, yeah, we win, and you're out?
For hate's sake, I spit my last breath.
Thank you very much. That's the Wrath of Khan. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, and then the other team is kind of like, has to understand that that's the way the cookie does in fact crumble.
Hello?
What I'm praying for is like 23-20, Raiders get the ball, they drive down the field, Daniel Carlson hits a field goal to send it to overtime.
Right.
And then it's going to be must-see.
They have to send it to overtime because a loss means they're out.
Right.
They have to keep to try to win. And somebody will try to win in overtime. The question is what happens if that doesn't materialize and the other team gets the ball back with a minuscule amount of time left, knowing a tie gets them in, do they still try to win it? And if they just try to take the air out of the ball and give it back to the other team for whom a tie also does get them in, do they try and win it just to say, we're in, you're out? Even if we had taken a knee, we'd both be in. And the Steelers and their faithful are living and dying with every second. The problem is this is all great conversation that is never going to happen for two reasons. One, competitors in the NFL will never, ever purposefully take a knee for the other team. And 2, the Jaguars have to beat the Colts. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.